Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to solve Cambridge IGCSE 062022 Feb March 2024. So let's get started. Question 1. Solid X is heated for 600 seconds. The graph shows the heating curve that is obtained. So we have a time versus temperature. What is the melting point of X? So we know that the process starts from solid to liquid and to gas. So over here, this stage is called a solid. When solid will turn into liquid, this is a stage where the process begins called as melting. And over here, we can see it's 170 degrees Celsius where the melting take place. So the answer is 170. Question second. Which statements about the diffusion are correct? Aqueous ions cannot diffuse in water, so it can diffuse in water. Diffusion is caused by random movement of particle, which is correct about the diffusion. Particles spread out in all direction, yes, which is also correct. Diffusion can only take place in solid and liquid. No, it cannot take place in solid. It takes place in gas and liquids. So the correct option is C. Which statement about an atom of fluorine 19F9 is correct? So we must know that 9 indicates its atomic number. Atomic number is also equal to number of proton plus equals to number of electron. So if P is 9, so automatically E will turn out to be 9. And if you want to find the neutron number, so we have mass number here, which I can do the subtraction with the atomic number. So 19 minus 9 gives me 10, which gives me neutron number. So once I calculate 9 plus 10, which gives me 28. It contains a total of 28 protons, neutrons and electrons, which is correct. It contains protons and neutrons, which is incorrect. Just now we have seen. Its isotopes contain different numbers of protons. No, neutrons. So isotope depending upon neutrons, not protons. Its nucleus contains 9 neutrons, which is incorrect. So the correct option is A. 2 of the isotopes of calcium are represented as 40 calcium 20 and 40 calcium 20, which statement explain why these isotopes of calcium have identical chemical properties. So as we know that when we talk about the isotopes of having a identical chemical properties, they must be because of their electronic configuration, because of their atomic number. So let's see. Both isotopes have the same number of neutrons, which is incorrect. Both isotopes have an electronic configuration of 2882, which we can see here, 20 and 20. Both isotopes have both isotopes have mass number of 20, which is incorrect again. Both isotopes have 4 fully occupied electron shell, which is again incorrect because we have 2 in the outermost shell. It's not fully occupied. So correct answer is B. Fifth question. Which statement describes a property of potassium iodide? So potassium iodide is an ionic compound and they are highly, or I would say, soluble in water. It is insoluble in water, which is incorrect because it's soluble in water. It is volatile substance. No. Volatile means which shows a property as alcohol. Okay, it evaporates the solution, but no, volatile is not the answer. It has a low melting point. So low melting point, no, it is a higher melting point. It conducts electricity when molten, which is correct. It conducts electricity when molten. So ionic compound will get dissociated. So yes, it conducts electricity. So the correct answer is D. Question 6. Methanol has boiling point of minus 90 degrees Celsius. At minus 20 degrees Celsius, the liquid methanol is a non-conductor of electricity. In a sample of methanol, each atom of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen has noble gas electronic configuration. Each atom has achieved this electronic configuration in one of 3 ways: gaining of electrons, losing of electrons, and sharing of electrons. Which statement describe the bonding between the carbon atom and oxygen in methanol? So first you will make methanol as a structure. You know that met means one carbon atom along with null, which is called as aldehyde group. Okay, it's shown as Al. Al gives us aldehyde group, so CHO. The carbon atom and oxygen atom share 4 electrons. Yes, if you can see here, double bond between carbon and oxygen, they are sharing how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Total 4 electrons, which is correct. The carbon atom and oxygen atom share 2 electrons, which is incorrect. Carbon is a negative ion. No. Carbon is not a negative ion. Carbon is a positive ion and oxygen is a negative ion. Okay. These ions attract each other. No. They are covalent compound. So this is incorrect. So the correct answer is A. 7. The structures of diamond and graphite are shown. Which statement about diamond and graphite is correct? Diamond and graphite contain strong covalent bonds between carbon atoms, which is correct. We have carbon atoms in diamond and graphite both. Diamond and graphite have delocalized electron. Diamond incorrect because only the graphite will show the delocalized of electrons. Diamond and graphite have layered structure. No, again. Diamond and graphite have low melting point. No, it consists of high melting point. Which row contains a description of a metallic bonding and a property that is explained by reference to a metallic bonding? So when we have a metallic bonding, we know that it has positive and we have a metal, which is along with that we're going to have positive ions. Along with that we are going to have delocalized electrons. So we can see from here description of metallic bonding, a lattice of positive ions in a sea of delocalized electron, which is correct. And property explained by reference to metallic bonding, a piece of metal can be molded into different shapes. Yes, malleable and then ductility, all this comes into a different shape drawn into wires. So yes, it shows different shapes. So the correct answer is D. Question 9. What is the relative molecular mass of sulfur dioxide? So for finding on the sulfur dioxide molecular mass, first we will do the addition of all the elements which is given to us. So sulfur is 32 plus, once we are jumping into the next atom, we have to do addition, which is plus. How many oxygen? 2. So which is going to be 16 multiplied by 2, which gives me 64. So the correct answer is D. 10 question. Magnetite is an ore of iron which contains the ions Fe2+, Fe3+, and O2- only. So they are showing us that a magnetite will contains all these ions. What is the formula of magnetite? So formula basically based on two types. One is FeO. The magnetite will be consist of FeO and Fe2O3, which you can see Fe we have 3, so Fe3, and oxygen we're going to have in total 4. So we're going to have the formula as Fe3O4. So correct answer is D. But if you want to see the structure of magnetite, the structure of magnetite look like this. So we're going to have 3 iron, okay, which is 2 iron will be of 3 plus, and second one will be of Fe2 plus, which is ferrous. Over here is this ferrous oxide, and over here it is going to be ferric oxide. Okay, so lower valency will be called as ferrous, higher valency, which is +3, will be called as ferric. Alright, this ferric one, which is Fe3 plus ion, will be coordinate with 3 oxygen atoms, 1, 2, 3. Over here also with the same scenario, 1, 2, 3, and Fe2 will be sharing 2 oxygen. Okay, so in total we are going to get Fe3O4. And if you want to check if the whole atom or whole structure is balanced or not, so if you would see here Fe2 plus, we're going to have Fe2 plus as 1, so plus 2, which has a oxidation number plus 2, multiply by 1 because we have only 1 iron, which gives me plus 2, and Fe3 plus, we're going to have 2 Fe3 plus, and its valency is plus 3, so we're going to get plus 6. So in total we're going to get plus 8. Follow up with the oxygen. Oxygen we have total 4 oxygen. Each oxygen provide -2, which gives me -8. So plus 8 and -8 gets cancel each other out and give the neutral molecule. Okay, so the correct answer is Fe3O4, which is D. Next question. Concentrated aqueous sodium chloride and dilute sulfuric acid are both electrolyzed using inert electrodes. Which row identifies the product of cathode? So as you know that cathode is going to be a negative electrode. How to remember? The word use panic. Okay, negative is cathode. So we'll write negative for our reference. So whenever you see anode and cathode, just write the reference charges so that you can simply see which is getting discharged or which ions are getting discharged. So first thing we can see here, we have two solution. One is concentrated and another one is dilute. Now concentration will be depending what kind of solution we have added. So we have added sodium chloride. So in the sodium chloride, sodium will not get discharged because it is highly in reactive. Okay, they are high in reactive series. So sodium will not get discharged. Instead of sodium, we know that it's going to be a concentrated aqueous sodium chloride. So the ion for this would be concentrated aqueous, right, of NaCl. So this will dissociate into aqueous is given, that means H plus and OH ions will also be there because of the water, and for NaCl it will get dissociate into Na plus and Cl minus. As I told you that Na will not get discharged, only H plus will get discharged because Na plus is highly reactive. So H plus will get discharged. Now discharge where? This is plus, so it will get discharged to the minus electrode. Minus electrode means cathode. Okay, so hydrogen will get displaced, which is correct. Okay, and chlorine will get automatically cancelled from here. So we have two hydrogen given to us. Now seeing the option for A and B for dilute sulfuric acid. For dilute sulfuric acid, as you all know, it's going to be dilute. Now over here they have given us dilute. That means there will be liberation of H plus and OH ions, and sulfate ions will not get discharged. And over here, because they're asking about the cathode, of course, hydrogen will get released because it's a dilute sulfuric acid, H2SO4. So it gives me around H plus and sulfate ions. Sulfate ions will not get discharged. Rather, H plus will get discharged at cathode any which way. So over here, hydrogen will get released at cathode. So hydrogen, yes. The correct answer is B. Question 12. Electrolytes can be broken down by electrolysis. Which rows are correct for each electrolyte? So electrolyte is given to us, along with that cathode and anode is given to us. First they have given, we have to check whether it's going to be diluted solution or concentrated solution. So they have given us dilute aqueous potassium chloride. So along with the potassium chloride, we have H plus and OH ions. We have a dilute solution. So for the cathode, hydrogen will get released, and for the anode, instead of chloride, OH ions will get liberated. OH ion form of oxygen. So over here we can see first is actually correct. Now for the second one, concentrated HCl, concentrated is given, so that means our chloride ions will be more and chloride will get discharged. So yes, chlorine is getting discharged at anode, and over here hydrogen. So first and second correct. Let's see for question number 3. Molten aluminum oxide will get discharged at cathode, but over here oxygen is given, so incorrect. Over here, concentrated aqueous sodium bromide. So over here concentrated is given, so we will focus more on bromide. But over here, sodium will not get discharged because it's highly reactive in series. So this will not come. So the correct answer is 1 and 2, which is A, option A. Next question. Which statement about hydrogen and oxygen fuel cells is correct? So over here, hydrogen is extracted from clean and dry air. So over here, this is incorrect. The only product is carbon dioxide. No. Water is also released. The reaction is endothermic. No, it's exothermic reaction. No toxic gases are produced. So over here, which is correct, we are only going to get water. So yes, the correct answer is D. Which statement defines the activation energy for a reaction? It is a minimum energy that colliding particles must have to react, which is correct. It is minimum energy that endothermic reaction take in from the surrounding, which is incorrect. It is a maximum energy of the exothermic. No, we don't talk about minimum, maximum. We only talk about the colliding particle must if any energy is required, a minimum energy which is required for colliding the particles so that they can start reacting it. So the first answer is only correct, which is A. 15. The equation for the complete combustion of ethane is shown. Now over here we're going to have all the reactant side and product side. Over here also they have given that the bond energies are listed. What is the enthalpy change of the reaction when 1 mole of ethane is completely burned? So first thing, we first see the energy required to break the bond, which is energy absorbed to break the bond, which is in the reactant side. So we will take each and every reactant. So if you would see here, there's a triple bond present. So we will see C triple bond C, which is here. Okay, how many do we have? 2. Okay, so 2 times C triple bond and 2 times CH bond, and then you will get, now see over here, I'll write 2 multiplied by 837 from triple bond, 4 multiplied by 415, which is going to be CH bond. Why 4? Because over here, if you would see, here it's gonna be 1 and 2. So 2 CH bond, and also over here in front of the atom, in front of the molecule also 2 is present. So multiply by 2, which gives me 4. So 4 multiplied by 414, plus we also have oxygen bond, which is 498. How many? 5. So 5 multiplied by 498, which gives me around 45824. Now here energy released to make the bond. So we can say that over here carbon oxygen we're gonna have 805. Okay, now we have 2 times carbon oxygen bond, so 2 multiply by 4, which gives me 8 times 805 from here. Then next to the next product, which is OH group we count as 1 and 2. So 2 multiply by 2 gives me 4, which in total gives me 8296. Now, what is the formula of finding out the enthalpy change? Energy absorbed minus energy released. So we got as 5824 minus 8296, which gives me around minus 2472. Now the question says, when 1 mole of ethane is completely burned. So we know that 1 mole of ethane I am getting this much. So what will be over here, as you can see, for 2 methyl, for 2 not methyl, 2 mole of ethane, 2 mole of ethane I am getting as minus 2472. So what will be for 1 mole of ethane? So you will unitary method, you will divide by 2, you will get 1 minus 1236 kilojoule per mole. So the correct answer is B. Next question. 16. In experiment 1, small lumps of limestone are added to dilute ethanoic acid at 40 degrees Celsius. The volume of carbon dioxide release is measured at regular time interval. A graph of the results is shown. So over here we're going to have experiment number 1 graph and experiment number 2 graph. In experiment number 1, they have used small lumps of limestone at 40 degrees Celsius. Now, which changes give the result shown in experiment number 2? So as you can see, experiment number 2 is lower than the experiment number 1. So for limestone, what else we can use? We cannot use powder or small lumps because it will give more rate of reaction. Okay, so we're gonna take large lumps so that rate of reaction will decrease. And for the temperature as well, temperature also we can take it as low, because as you can see, temperature once the temperature is low, the rate of reaction also turns to be low. So the correct answer is A. Question 17. In the Haber process, hydrogen are reacted to make ammonia. Hydrogen in the reaction side and in gaseous phase, and ammonia in the gaseous phase, showing the reversible sign. The forward reaction is exothermic, they are saying, which conditions produce the maximum yield of ammonia. So we need to see the condition where we can get more amount of product, which is ammonia. Pressure and temperature they have given. So as you know that once the pressure increases, it favors the less mole. We can see here the number of moles in this reaction. From here we can get 4. because it's come 1 from here, 1 plus 3, 4, and then the product side we have 2. So it's quite obvious, once we increase the pressure, the equilibrium favors to those who are having a less number of molecules or less number of moles. So over here it will shift towards the right side, and shifting towards the right side, that means we're also increasing the yield of ammonia. So your pressure needs to be high. Talking about the temperature, as you all know, as per the condition of temperature, whenever temperature has been increased, it always favors the endothermic reaction. Okay, if it favors the endothermic reaction, that means the position of equilibrium shifts in the favor of the endothermic reaction. But over here, our reaction is exothermic, right? So if I want to increase, if I want my reaction to be exothermic, that means I have to reduce the temperature. Why? Because increasing the temperature, it is favoring endothermic reaction. And if I decrease the temperature, it will favor exothermic reaction, right? And if I decrease the temperature, it will show the exothermic, and forward reaction is nothing but it goes towards the right side. And if it's going towards the right side, that means ammonia is getting produced. So over here the question has been asked maximum yield. So yes, if I decrease the temperature, I'm gonna get more amount of ammonia. So over here the correct answer is 17. 17 correct answer is B. Question 18. The Oswald process is used to make nitric acid. The conditions used in the process are a catalyst containing a transition element, a pressure of 10 atm, a temperature of 800 degrees Celsius. Which of these conditions are also used in the contact process? So, contact process, which is nothing but the sulfuric acid. So, over here we use catalyst containing transition element. Yes, we do use. Pressure of 10 atm, no, we use 2 atm. Temperature we use as 450 because it's a relevant temperature to produce the to produce the sulfuric acid. So the correct answer is 1 only, which is B. Question 19. Hydrogen iodide is dissolved in water. Which row describes the final colors seen when the solution is tested with damp red litmus paper and with acidified aqueous potassium manganate? So we know that HI is nothing but strong acid, and which is also acting as a reducing agent. So over here, if you would see, if you are going to use the damp litmus paper, which is of red color, it's going to show the same color. It's not going to turn blue. So we can eliminate as A and B. Now, the solution, that means over here, is been added to acidified aqueous potassium manganate, which also act as a oxidizing agent. Okay, oxidizing agent. And what it will do, it will turn the iodide to iodine. Okay, and you will get the color, iodide color is brown, but it will turn into iodine in water. The solution color will be brown. Okay, so the correct answer is C. Question 20. Which statements about the aqueous ethanoic acid are correct? So it can be ethanoic acid they have given us. It can be produced by oxidizing ethanol with potassium iodide. Whenever you are using oxidizing, we always use cheminophore, which is potassium manganate or dichromate. So we don't use potassium iodide. It reacts with magnesium to produce hydrogen gas, which is correct. It has approximate pH value of 3. Yes, because it's an acid. It produces esters called methanoid. No, it produces ethanoid because we are using ethanoic acid. So the correct answer is second and third. Question 21. Which element forms an acidic oxide? Acidic means we're going to take non-metal. So from here, this is all our metal. So we can see sulfur is the only non-metal. So the correct answer is D. 22. Which statement describes the properties of HCl, hydrochloric acid? So we need to describe the property of HCl. Carbon dioxide is produced when limestone reacts with hydrochloric acid, which is correct. Okay, because we are using the limestone, which is in a form of calcium carbonate. Carbonate will release as a carbon dioxide with the help of HCl. Hydrogen is produced when sodium hydroxide reacts with hydrochloric acid, which is incorrect. Hydrogen is not produced. Methyl orange turns yellow in strong hydrochloric acid. No, it turns red. Red litmus paper turns blue when dipped in hydrochloric acid. No, it's red. Now next one. Element P and Q have the same number of electron shell. Electron shell means same period. An atom Q has more electrons in its outermost shell than the P. Now we can say that Q has more electrons, okay, and P has less electron. So if Q has more electron, that means in the periodic table, you will see P is over here in the left hand side and Q is over here at the right hand side. And as you know that if it's in the left hand side, so P becomes more basic and Q becomes more acidic. So let's see the statement. P and Q are in the same group of the periodic table. No, as we have said that they are in the same period. P and Q are in the same period of the periodic table, which is correct. P has a greater tendency to form positive ions than Q. Over here, P has a greater tendency, yes, because it forms a left hand side, and left hand side means all our metals are good electron donor. Okay, so it has a greater tendency to form a positive ion. The oxide of Q is more basic than oxide of P. Okay, which is incorrect again. So the correct answer is 2 and 3, which is C. Question 24. Which substance reacts with dilute sulfuric acid to form salt that can be removed from the resulting mixture by filtration? So we need to find out the substance was actually reacted to dilute sulfuric acid to form salt that can be removed by resulting mixture. Okay. Aqueous barium chloride. So barium chloride is the only answer which will always give the precipitate, and that precipitate can be removed by filtration. Sodium hydroxide, no. Copper to carbonate, no. So the only thing which can give PPT is aqueous barium chloride with sulfuric acid. Next question. 25. Astatine is below iodine in group 7 in the periodic table. Which row describes the properties of astatine? Now, as you can see, it starts from fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine. So it comes to the last of the periodic table. As you know that as we go down the group in the halogen group, it turns the physical state from gases to liquid, liquid to solid. So over here you can see it's going to be solid. So gas A and B gets eliminated quicker. Now displaces iron but does not displace the chlorine or bromine, which is incorrect. So does not displace chlorine, bromine, iodine. Yes, because it's less reactive. Okay, fluorine is the highest reactive in the group, and astatine is the lowest. So it cannot displace chlorine, bromine, and iodine. So the correct answer is D. 26. Which property of copper explain why it is classified as transition element? So we need to describe the properties which coexist in transition element. Copper can be bent into different shape, which is, it can, but over here we are talking about the transition element. Copper forms Cu2 plus and Cu ion, which is correct. And not only copper, all the metal can bend into different shape, and hence we cannot just say it's copper only. Copper is a good conductor. Again, it's all the metals are good conductor of electricity. Copper has a low density. No, all the transition element actually have a highest density. Question number 27. Brass is an alloy that is formed from copper and zinc. Which statements are correct? So over here, question 1, which is brass, copper, zinc, all conduct electricity, which is correct. Brass is a compound of copper and zinc. No, it's not a compound, it's alloy. Brass is harder than zinc. So over here, yes, which is correct. Brass is harder than zinc because it's an alloy. So answer is 1 and 3. So option is C. Question 28. The equation for the reaction of metal M with aqueous zinc sulfate is shown. So which statement explains why metal reacts with aqueous zinc sulfate? So first thing we should know that metal is actually getting oxidized or reduced, that we will see first. So over here M was 0 as a valence charge, and over here it comes to a 2 minus. So it has gained the electrons. So obviously what can come from this scenario is, we can see here zinc ions can remove electrons from M. Yes, we can remove the electrons from M because of the zinc. Okay, so correct answer is D. Question 19. In the blast furnace, the impurity silicon peroxide is removed by formation of slag. Which equation represents the formation of substance which reacts with silicon peroxide to form slag? Slag is nothing but calcium silicate. Okay. Now, when we use or react silicon peroxide, which acts as acidic oxide, it will neutralization reaction will take place. So over here, what is going to happen is calcium carbonate. It is going to thermal decompose to get calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So C is the correct answer for forming a slag. Now, once we get this as calcium oxide, this will again react with silicon peroxide to give me slag. So the correct answer is C. Aluminium is extracted to form bauxite by electrolysis. Which statement is correct? Aluminium ions are oxidized to form aluminium. No, it doesn't get oxidized. The cathode has to be replaced regularly because it reacts with the oxygen which is formed. No, it reacts, it actually, anode is the one who needs to be replaced. Carbon dioxide is produced at the anode, which is correct. Why? Because it will react with the because as you know that anode is made up of graphite, and graphite is nothing but carbon, so carbon will react with the graphite, that means oxygen which is present, and also it will form a carbon dioxide. Cryolite is added to remove impurities. No, over here cryolite is actually used to lower the melting point of the aluminum oxide. So the correct answer is C. Question 31. Iron rust, but aluminium does not easily corrode. So we need to talk about aluminium. Okay, iron easily rust, but aluminium cannot. But it actually easily corrode. The reason being because aluminium will form oxide layer with oxygen, and it acts as a protective layer. So over here we can say that its surface is protected by an oxide layer, which is correct. So the correct answer is D. 32. Which chemical can be used as a fertilizer to provide the three elements needed for improved plant growth? We know that for the fertilizer we require NPK, which is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So from this compound we must have all this component or element present. So we have N, we have P and we have K as well. So the correct answer is B. Question 33. What is the color change when water is added to anhydrous cobalt chloride? So cobalt chloride anhydrous is of blue in color. Once it gets reduced, that means anhydrous means when there is no water content, and when there is a water content hexahydrate, which is then we will call it as cobalt chloride hexahydrate, which turns the blue color into pink color. So over here the answer is blue to pink. This is anhydrous, this is without water, this is hydrated, which is with water. So blue to pink. Question number 34. How do carbon dioxide and methane cause global warming? They emit the thermal energy they have absorbed back to the earth, which is correct. They absorb the radiation directly from the sun. No, they don't absorb directly. They increase thermal energy lost to space. No. They reduce reflection of thermal energy from the Earth's surface. The correct answer is A. 35. Four statements about photosynthesis are listed. So chlorophyll is required for photosynthesis, which is correct. The equation for photosynthesis is this, which is incorrect because over here we require carbon dioxide. Okay, and this is actually reverse. Photosynthesis requires energy from light, which is correct. Photosynthesis release carbon dioxide. No, as I told you, it's going to be oxygen here. So the correct answer is 1 and 3. Question 36. Which molecules are structural isomers? So for structural isomers, we must know that it's going to have same molecular formula, same functional group, and different structure. So let's count the number of each carbon atom for finding out the molecular formula. So it can be easy to find out the structural isomer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Total 5 carbon for the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the second one as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is the odd one out. So I'm going to remove this 4. Now, out of this 3, we must know that same molecular formula and also functional groups. As you can see here, that it's showing as double bond, right? So double bond is there. So obviously, it's not going to have the same molecular formula. So question number 2 also, option number 2 also gets eliminated. So the correct answer is 1 and 2. And if you count the hydrogen atoms will also be same for 1 and 3. So the correct answer is B. Question number 37. Which statement about the reaction of ethene with steam are correct? The product has a higher molecular mass than ethane. So let's check for the ethene. Ethene is C2H4, while ethane will be C2H6, right? Now product. Now for that reason, we need to know the product as well. So as you know, when ethane is reacted with steam, it's gonna get as ethanol, where this double bond will get broke. Okay, it will broken down into a single bond, and we have a two space to fill up, which is OH and H. So H and OH takes place, okay, after breaking the bond, okay, and we're gonna get as ethanol. Now we have to see the mass. Now obviously ethane is having C2H6, it's gonna be more because it's going to be C2H5OH. So more mass will be there as compared to the ethane, which is correct. So product, second one, the product reacts with aqueous bromine. No, it does not actually react with bromine after the alcohol formation. The number of electrons shared between carbon atom decreases, which is yes, it decreases. The reaction produces of an alcohol and hydrogen. No, it doesn't. It only produces one, which is alcohol. So the correct answer is 1 and 3. So the option is B. Question 38. Methane and chlorine react to form chloromethane. Which row describes the necessary reaction condition and type of reaction? So when methane, which is an alkane group, alkane and chlorine is reacting to form chloromethane, which is halogen, okay, HX group. So as you can see, reaction condition, it will always be in a free substitution reaction, which gives me in the presence of UV light. So, and also it's a substitution reaction. As I mentioned, it's a free substitution, a free radical substitution reaction. So the correct answer is A. Question 39. Parts of structure of two different polymers X and Y are shown. So over here we can see there are two X and Y polymers. Which row about the monomers and the linkages between the monomers and polymers X and Y is correct? So monomers X and Y, they are different. As you can see, it's C double bond O and NH. So in the both the condition in X and Y, they are different. Okay, and linkages, if I talk about, so this is gonna be same. As you can see, it's going to be C double bond O and NH. And over here also NH and C double bond O. So linkages are same, but the monomers in the bracket, they are different. Okay, and the linkages are nothing but the amide group. So the correct answer is B. Question 40. Substance Q is tested using paper chromatography. The resulting chromatogram is shown. So where your solvent front is the baseline. Which statement is correct? Q is a pure substance. So over here, as you can see, it is impure because we're going to have two spots here. The RF value of the lower spot is 0.25. There is no such condition or RF values to be given for each spot. C1, Q is a mixture of at least two different substances, which is correct. That is the reason we are getting two spots. Q is a compound of of two elements. No, compound. It's not a compound. It's a mixture. Okay. So the correct answer for 40 is C.